It's a lot. It is a lot. Sometimes it's a lot to see things that are painful. Sometimes it's a lot to see things that are part of our past. I'm going to show you this mug that I got at the King Institute, King Center in outside of Atlanta. It's a place that's set up right across from the church he used to speak at. That's Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And as I forget, it's Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And it has this "I have a dream" thing in the back. I'm full of coffee. I don't want to spill it. It has part of the speech. And today is Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday. And I was reminded of a time when I actually went to the center, which is run by the Georgia Parks and Recs department. It's really well kept up. It's actually beautiful grounds. It's really wonderful. And then you go inside and it goes through a timeline of what Dr. Luther King Jr. went through in his struggle for equality. At the time I went back in the 2000s, and I was there for a conference. And my best friend at the time, Nick, and I, he was white, he's Greek, he was white, Greek and Norwegian. Of course, I'm Black. And we decided to go together. It was both we wanted to go and see it. We were there. We try to always see something in town while we're visiting. We're doing these conferences all over the country. We've been to Richmond, Virginia, where we saw they have monuments up of Black slaves who came in these little boxes and trying to escape and stuff. And they show you the boxes, and there's different things all over the South. We've been all through the South, and you see different things. And I've been to the Caribbean, Eastern Caribbean. I've seen where slave point entries and stuff like that. But it was really interesting because Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. has become, a lot of catchphrases and a lot of quotes. Today, you'll see a bunch of quotes, everybody posting stuff, quotes, some of the quotes he's always used. But to go and see the timeline of how much he went through and the folks went through for the struggle for civil rights, it's amazing. And they had a jail cell there. There's a replica of the times he was arrested and how small it was. And they crowd them all together in there and leave them there for hours. Everybody had a seat. The dogs, they showed at the time period, although, send the dogs, the hoses on protesters. And I sobbed. We sobbed like a baby. I sobbed the whole time I was there. I was born in the civil rights movement in the 60s. So it wasn't that far long ago. But being there with my best friend who was white was also an interesting experience too. We've grown a little closer, I felt. We talked about it. We had an open dialogue about this. He was always very open to, he was, back then, probably would call it a woke white man, but we didn't say those words back then. He was hyper aware of his whiteness. He was hyper aware of people of color. He was a champion of people of color. Always just make it part of his life just to have, it wasn't some special thing. And our friendship was real. It was very real. We'd have real discussions. And that was a day we went through it together and just saw how divided our country was 50 years ago. And someone just asking for basic rights. That was apparently not right, apparently. Not white, I was going to say that, but not right. And for some people, it's unimaginable. I mean, there are a lot of kids today who would have no idea. I have an idea because I grew up in the 70s and 80s, and I have an idea. But even I don't even know. I didn't go through whites only, coloreds only. I didn't go through that. I didn't go through beatings, things like that, and lynchings. I didn't go through that. So but I went through other things that were discriminatory in my life for being Black. So I just want to mention the King Center in Atlanta. If you get a chance, go. It's worth it. I always say that Black history is American history. It's a part of our history. Dr. Martin King Jr. was a seminal figure in our American history, a great orator, great speaker, which is the same thing, orator, speaker. He wasn't perfect. He was a man. When people realize that, we almost idolize him, but he can be several things at once, right? So those who go, well, he did this, like, who cares? He still was, his dream was that we all be equal. And he really put his money where his mouth was. And there were a lot of folks who didn't like him. There were a lot of folks who were afraid of him. A lot of folks didn't care for him. And his life was cut short. We have no idea what else could have happened. But because of him and his life cut short, change did happen. So for me, I may not be sitting here talking to you in this capacity. It wasn't for him and folks like him in my past. And so that's why my whole life, I'm always dedicated to the equality of people. No matter what race, no matter whatever, I want us all to be equal and have equal opportunity and have success in the American dream. Have a great day today. Let's see you next time.